This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching We All Be News TV, the
News-free Dixie.
News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
As our next speaker just stated, just a lot of insight, yes. Please give him another hand. All right, our next speaker is actually one of our co-hosts for this entire series of activities. His mom says that he inspired her to take this on as a project. And he describes himself as an artivist and an art historian. And he's very, very talented, and we're going to take him away from one of his talents right now behind the camera and ask him to come up on stage and speak with us for about 15 minutes about what he knows about Fort Pillow. Give him a hand, Ronald Hurd.
For the introduction, I appreciate it. That's all they do. About 15 minutes too. All right, again, I'm supposed to hand being here. Everybody's working over there. Get up here. Thank you once again, beautiful audience. This is a very fascinating time. It's a good time to be you go ahead, Jackie, help me with that. Shoot for me. Let's make sure you can see my big self in there. Okay. Let's the green dot record. Okay. Thank you. Give Jackie Murray, host of this. Yeah, Jackie of all trades. So I'm here. This is a very important day, April 12th, 2017. April 12th is a very interesting day indeed. Not only is the day of the Battle of the Fort Pillow Massacre, but also it's the day of the beginning of the Civil War, like Brother Jeffrey said. Also, it's the same day, April 12th, 1945, that we lost President Franklin Roosevelt down in Warm Springs, Georgia. April 12th, 2015 was when Freddie Gray was assaulted by the Baltimore Police Department, which led to the riots on April 19th, 2015 in Baltimore. April was a pretty interesting month for Black history and also for white supremacy. April 4th, we lost Dr. Martin Luther King here in Memphis, but also April 4th, 1972, we lost Adam Clayton Powell Jr. down in the, in the Caribbean, whatever, under mysterious circumstances. And Hitler was born on April 20th. The Oklahoma City bombings happened on April 19th. Rodney King, all this stuff. So sometimes in April, the Rwandan massacre happened in April. So April is a very interesting month to study. But let's talk about Nathan. There's something about ForREst. What is about ForREst? Well, I have a long association with Nathan BEdford ForREst. I didn't know the man. I didn't know him like that. But I was blessed. My mom's mother, my grandma, the late great Hattie Mae Taylor, she had a old World Book Black History Encyclopedia from the 1970s. So when I was in elementary, I was able to learn about not only Fort Pillow Massacre, but about Burt Williams, about all these, Paul Robeson, Henry O. Flipper, the first black person to graduate from West Point, Charles Young. I was able to learn about this early in the game, not because the school taught me, but because I came from a family that believed in the value of learning. Brother Malcolm X said, if you let your enemies be the primary educators of your children, you are a fool. Because the education is not what you think. This is indoctrination. Our education is a foundation for education is knowledge itself. You do not know who you are and where you came from and where you could, how do you know what you can be? What is the standard? So Nathan BEdford ForREst was born, before I get to Nathan BEdford ForREst was born, I have an interesting story. So I told you I knew about Nathan BEdford ForREst since I was in elementary. My freshman year at college, Washington University in St. Louis, I was a part of the Scholars in the Art Banquet. I had got a full scholarship ride to go to Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. I don't call it Missouri. I don't call it Missouri. I call it misery. Black folks that don't know. Okay. So I was talking to this gentleman, this white gentleman who was one of the biggest donors of the art school. And we got talking about, this is the same year that Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa was going for the home run record with Roger Maris. This is back in 98. And we started talking about baseball. He started knowing a little bit about baseball history. I told him I was from Memphis. And he said, you know, I love the Civil War. You know what I like, who my favorite person from the Civil War is? I said, who's your favorite person, sir? I told him I was from Memphis. He said, Nathan Bedford ForREst. You want to know why, young man? I said, yeah, I want to know why. I'm very curious. Because he was a military genius. They say he was the greatest genius the war ever produced. They still study his strategies in military academies across the world. And he was just a gentleman. I told him I'm from Memphis, and that I can read, and that I can comprehend. I'm not one of these other Negroes. But I was shocked by it. Because like, akin to somebody telling you that their greatest person, if you Jewish, was Hitler. That was Nathan Bedford ForREst is to black people that know. So Nathan Bedford ForREst was born July 13th, 1821 in Chapel Hill, Tennessee. Like Elvis Presley, he had a twin. Like Elvis Presley, he had a twin. But his twin was a female named Fanny. They were the eldest of 12 children had by his mom and dad. His mom ended up having another family after his father died. He lost his sister and his father to scarlet fever. Nathan is interesting. I know Judge touched upon it a little bit earlier, but I call him the Sam Walton of slave traders. Because on Adams Street, he had the largest slave market in the country, trading our people, our African ancestors on Adams Street. Now, what's on Adams Street now? Juvenile Court. So that's a living legacy of enslaving black folk in this city, in this country. So that's Nathan Bedford ForREst. How he built his fortune. And Nathan was impressive because he didn't have any form of education, although he used his means from slave trading and whatnot and real estate investing to support his siblings going to college, getting educated. So by the time the Civil War started, he's one of the most successful, most wealthiest white men in the South. Actually raised his own army. Military genius, went from a rank of private to a general in one war, even though you got to consider white male privilege. But here, what's white male privilege? Well, anybody could be a general. But also Nathan was interesting because the way they portrayed Nathan Bedford ForREst, I got this book my good Confederate white friend sent me in the mail because Brother Ron's so open-minded. He go to our rallies and he talk to us and don't curse out. Called A Rebel Born. If you look at a lot of the history and books surrounded by Nathan Bedford ForREst, there's a powerful mythology about Nathan Bedford ForREst. I interviewed author Andrew Ward last week, River Run Red, Jeffrey talked about. And I said, you know what? When I think of Nathan Bedford ForREst, I think of John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, Earl Flynn, and good old American apple pie. Because that's how he sounds. When you think about how they cast Nathan Bedford ForREst, he's like this dude from Central Casting in a Hollywood movie back in the 40s, like Earl Flynn and John Wayne and Clint Eastwood. Matter of fact, they say he killed 30 people at his hand. That Nathan Bedford ForREst actually killed 30 people, including a lot of white folks. Matter of fact, he went to business with his uncle, Jonathan ForREst, down in Hernando, Mississippi, and got into it with the Matlock brothers. And it was like a scene from Unforgiven, because the Matlock brothers killed his uncle, and he went off. He killed about 2 of them just with his two-shot gun. And then he wounded or knifed another one. And then one of them ended up serving him in the Civil War. They ended up serving with him in the Civil War. This is Nathan Bedford ForREst. And after the war, what people don't understand, Nathan Bedford ForREst was the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. Back then, it was like a frat. We were frat boys. Like they had Facebook or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, we got a frat." That's what the white folks want to portray it. But they really was a Christian terrorist organization, not a Islamic one, but a Christian terrorist organization protected by good old Uncle Sam that still exists to this day. Although that was the first incarnation of the Klan, actually got dissolved during his lifetime. They first ran through the Klan. The Klan was formed, I believe, in 1866 in Pulaski, Tennessee. And then I think Nathan Bedford ForREst solidified his involvement in the Klan at that infamous Maxwell Hotel House meeting in Nashville back in 1867. Nathan got into the railroad business after the Civil War as well. And let me get the Klan was started by the Democratic Party. Let me just put that in. The Klan was started by members of the Democratic Party. Nathan Bedford ForREst, before the war, he was an alderman of the city of Memphis. He was a city councilman before the war. And he was a proud Democrat. After the war, he was a delegate, maybe a super delegate at the July 1868 convention of the Democratic Party. Oh, glory. But he got into the railroad business, right? And we complain about that statue downtown on Union. But guess what? Across the river, Old Man River, across that river, there's a town called Forest City, Arkansas that he started. Forest City. We talking about a statue. He got a city named after him in Arkansas. Oh, y'all, he started it, okay? The general, started it all, you know. So, also I consider him the father of the private prison industry. If you know anything about private prison, if you know anything about the 13th Amendment, it abolished not a damn thing. Because we still got punishment as law. It's called private prison industry, y'all. I'm trying to keep y'all up. You know, I'm a focus story. I'm not one of these erudite trained academics. This is not C-SPAN. This is run-SPAN. Yeah, so he got black prison labor slave contracts to work President Allen. He was using black convict slave labor to work President Allen that still exists between Memphis and Arkansas and the Old Man River in the Mississippi River. So he got those contracts. So he started that tradition in a way. Because the headquarters for private prisons is CCA. And where it's located, y'all? Where did Joe, yeah, there was Joe Turner gone and came and went, Nashville. Headquarters of private prison USA. Look at the 13th documentary. Please look at that 13th documentary. Now Nathan, the good old boys will tell you, Nathan was a good old boy, but he was a civil rights man. He was like the first white civil rights leader because one day in July 4th, 1875, before the Great Pole Bearers Association, he spoke to the good color folks about the reconciliation of the races. He said, I love chocolates and flowers, because a sister gave him a bouquet of flowers. I love chocolates and flowers. He did love chocolate. He did. Matter of fact, he had a sex slave. They don't call her no black mistress. This ain't Scandal, the TV show. She wasn't considered nothing because she was property. She was a sex slave named Elnora, and also was a master cook. And so she ran away because she was afraid of Forrest. She was like beating her ass. Okay, she ran away. She was pregnant, right? She ran down to Louisiana, had a daughter, and God is a practical joker. I'm gonna tell you why. Because Nathan Bedford ForREst's great-great-grandson is Douglas Turner Ward. Now, who is Douglas Turner Ward? He was born May 5th, 1930 in Louisiana. He was the founder and artistic director of the Negro Ensemble Company, the same place that trained and produced the Denzel Washington, the Angela Bassett, the Samuel Jackson, the Felicia Rashad. That Negro Ensemble Company that produced A Soldier's Play, which became A Soldier's Story. That Negro Ensemble Company, that is his kinfolk. That's his great-great-grandson. Douglas Turner Ward. Now, you talk to the good old boy, they're like, he on ahead. His last descendant, or not last, his last male descendant. Let's get into his bloodline, his male bloodline. Nathan Bedford ForREst II was his grandson. He was a powerful member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Those are the same group of people back in 1904, because October 29th, 1877, Nathan Bedford ForREst died because he drank that Flint water from President Allen. I call it Flint water. They ain't know about Flint. I'm saying he drank that real bad water, got dysentery. Sometimes they said it was diabetes, but it was dysentery because he could stop crapping himself. He crapped himself to death. By certain accounts, I mean, they say diabetes now. But his last request was to be buried in Elmwood Cemetery with his fallen soldiers and command. Now, they moved his body. The Sons of Confederate Veterans, the Daughters of the Confederacy, moved his body back in 1904 on what is now known as Union Avenue, along with his wife's remains. They put that horse equestrian statue, which was made in Italy, on that piece of real estate back in 1905. Now, that is one of the epicenters of white supremacy in all the land, because every year, the Sunday before Nathan Bedford ForREst's birthday on July 13th, 1,000 of them good old boys and girls be coming down there, camping out, and having a good old time with watermelon and cold water, honoring their hero, Nathan Bedford ForREst. Every year, I've been to those things twice in the last year. 2015, when they had the Charleston 9 massacre, it was about 2,000 of them. The year after that, it was a little bit, by maybe a couple hundred. And I remember I was there, and this white college professor, because y'all think it's just poor Peckerwoods and crackers down there. These judges, lawyers, businessmen, white collar folks, educated folks, all be down there at these rallies for Nathan Bedford ForREst. And one of them said, well, Brother Ron, I don't mean no disrespect, but Why don't y'all have your own thing? I mean, why y'all get your own tradition going on? I like to run. You seem a very open-minded color person. Brother, black man, whatever you are, Christian. You see me, why don't y'all have your own thing? This is why we're here today. Because we got to start changing the narrative. We got to start producing these 500-page books about our trauma, about our pain. Because if we don't tell our stories, the ancestors get no glory. Because if we don't tell our stories, the ancestors get no glory. So this is not a moment. This is a movement to empower us. We got to heal from this trauma. This is generational trauma. We passed this from, because when I started doing this project, I went all in. And I'm dealing not only with my trauma, but I'm dealing with ancestral trauma. So then when I start dealing with ancestral trauma, I got to remember the pain I've been repressing as a black man on this planet. And it's hell. If you really deal with it, like what James Baldwin said, to be awoke as a black person in America is to be enraged. I'm very much angry. And I'm proud of it. I own my anger now. I'm not going to hide it no more. I'm not going to kill myself over this. But nobody dies a natural death in this system. Because this is white supremacy. This is unnatural. This is not natural. White supremacy does not exist in nature. That's why they do the things they do to us. I know my 15 minutes is up. Why you let me go on? Are you pointing? Why you didn't say nothing?
You had it.
Okay, good. Okay, all right, God bless. All right. Shit. I'm sorry. I'm going to 15 minutes.